Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Celtic Connections. We are continuing our series, All Hands on Deck, the virtual voyage of sea marks. And this series is really meant to uncover all of the facets of our digital production of sea marks. I am very, very excited for this episode tonight because tonight we talk to Jayson Clark, our lighting designer. We talk about the world of lighting design and we talk about how it translates to the world of film for sea marks. So I am very excited to introduce you to Jayson Clark. Welcome, Jayson.
Thank you so much, Kate. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us. So Jayson, you are a Western New York native and you have been a lighting designer for quite some time. And your first production at Irish Classical was this season, or this past season, I should say, "'Tis Pity She's a Whore," right?
That's correct, yes.
We loved what you did so much with the hanging candles and all of the ribbons attached. It was very atmospheric. I absolutely loved your lighting design for that. It was incredible to see. I mean, your first time designing there, and it was really, really, really arresting to be sitting in the Andrews. So well done on that one.
Oh, thank you so much. I can only take partial credit. I think David Dwyer had a lot to do. The scenic designer for that one had a lot to do with those candles too. So fair shout out to David Dwyer on that too. But yeah, it was absolutely an honor to be involved in that production. I'm part of the younger generation of lighting designers coming up right now, and what an honor. Everyone in my kind of age demographic that's coming up in the theater world, everyone strives to work at Irish Classical, so I am honored to be one of those people that got to do it with Tis a Pity, and super honored to have been asked back to work on this production of Sea Marks.
We're so happy to have you, and we really feel like you are the right lighting designer for the job. Now that it's wrapped and we are in the editing phase, you know, having looked at so much of the footage, it is so beautiful. And I'm just curious, before we kind of jump into the design of Sea Marks, just tell us a little bit about the role of a lighting designer. What do they do?
Sure, yeah. So a lighting designer at its most base, your goal is illumination. Your job is to make sure that the actors can be seen in the way that the director wants them to be seen. And part of that is collaborating with every element of your design team and your actors. So the director might have a very specific idea about what the lighting should be for a specific scene. And for example, if we're outside at nighttime, we want to feel like we're outside at nighttime. We don't want full light up. At the same time, you want to make sure that your audience can see the actors. That's your job, is to be a support to the actors. So that's primary number one. And number two, kind of ancillary and satellite to all of that, you have all of these other little artistic and creative jobs to do. A lot of the time you're conveying time of day, you're conveying location, whether you're outside, inside. You might be conveying time of the year, winter, spring, summer. You also have a very important job, which is, should the production call for it, to interject little moments of emotion and reinforcing central theme when it is appropriate to the show. And for example, in Sea Marks, we had several little moments where we had these kind of broken reality moments that really called for some sort of change in the light. So your job is to execute that and make it seem part of the world of the show. It doesn't necessarily have to be realistic, but it has to fit the world of the show. So your job is to kind of wriggle in between all of the other designers, make sure that costuming and hair and makeup are satisfied with the way that lighting is reading underneath. You can so often, if you have someone who's heavily rouged or blushed up, if you throw the wrong color on them, they might really look a way that the makeup designer is not pleased with. So you have to work with everyone and make everything cohesive. And that's what really drew me to the profession, is the amount of, collaboration that you have to do, and the amount of control that you have over generally the look of the world. I always was told that, the scenic designer builds the world, and you're the painter. You get to paint it how it's supposed to look, and that really drew me to it. And I took to it at a very early age, and it never looked back at this point.
Well, it's evident. I mean, your work on C Marks is so beautiful. I'm so excited for viewers to see the illumination and the painting of the world that you've done. It's truly magical. What are some of those concepts, or you said themes, about the production that you really wanted to illuminate with your design?
Oh, sure. So, in very early meetings, when I was meeting with Fortune, the director, and Greg, our production manager, and the whole team, we kind of found these moments and ideas. There were three main questions that Fortune kind of asked the whole team about, and to look at these as kind of themes of the entire show. And I'm sure Fortune can speak more on that if and when you talk to Fortune. But my job was to figure out how to convey those themes, and particularly these moments of maybe togetherness or loneliness. The whole show is kind of this ebb and flow of togetherness and loneliness, and proximity and distance, and how do we use lighting to accomplish that. And using some different techniques and different colors, we're able, I think, to achieve that very goal, just in the use of color and directionality of light, to really kind of hone in on some of these central themes.
Wonderful. I am so curious to know this question in particular. You have done so much designing for the theater, and having already worked at the Andrews one time before C Marks, how does the world of lighting design change from the theater to film?
Well, that it was a definite learning experience for me. My training is all very much musical theater and live theater, and I had some musical concert lighting background. But this was a whole new world for me, and thank goodness, working with the staff at ICTC and Pan Am Film Division. My goodness, they were just the most wonderful collaborators, and they helped kind of get me up to speed as to what was required technically from the design, as far as like how bright lights need to be, what we in that realm call intensity, what intensities we're looking at, what colors read well for the camera. Those are all things that we don't really think about when we're lighting for an audience. It seems counterintuitive, but the human eye is way less perceptive than the lens of a camera. We kind of see colors in kind of softer tones when we're processing them visually, but when we have a super high definition camera right up next to an actor, we're seeing color in a very, very different way, and we're seeing intensity in a very different way. So one of the primary changes was how brightly I lit the action for this. I think if patrons were to come in and see any of the shots live when we were staging them, they're actually a lot dimmer than you would think when they read on camera, and that's a function of the very high definition cameras that we use for the production. And also just some different ways of thinking about directionality of lighting and where that light source is coming from. You might have a close-up on an actor that you have to light around because you're going to have a cameraman standing in the way of where that light source is coming from. So it kind of forces you to be a little bit more creative with where you're bringing lights up and how many lights you're bringing up and how bright you're bringing those lights up.
Wonderful. I really appreciate that perspective. You know, we think that the Andrews is so intimate, which it is, but not even close to as intimate as the camera lens, being, you know, doing a close up and being right there in proximity with the actors. So these are definitely things that we will look out for as we prepare to see the streaming version of C Mark starting October 16th. So thank you so much for spending some time with us, for illuminating the world of lighting design, and for just hanging out and being an all-around great guy. We really appreciate it, and we will see you very soon. To our patrons, thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next Friday when we speak with the stalwarts of the theater, Fortunato, Josephine Hogan, and Vincent O'Neill, about the original production of C Mark. So tune in to next week Friday, same Irish time, same Irish channel. Thank you and good night.